Thank you very much for joining me. Welcome to my channel. Lovely moments with me, your one and only Adabugo here. We set things in motion, we encourage ourselves, we share beautiful stories of our lives. I tell you things about me, I tell you things I think will help me, things that have helped me in life, and I hope they have been helping you all this while. In case you just stumbled upon my channel, you're stopping over for the first time, please like this video before you go, share it with your friends, subscribe in case you haven't. I love and appreciate all of you, my subscribers, and if you're a new subscriber, stay tuned. You will know why this is a lovely place to be, and I remain your one and only Adabugo. Okay, today I just had a reflection, a momentary flashback of my days in the university, and I remember the day I gave food and clothes to a madman. First of all, I can remember in those days there was a program I wanted to start. I call it MAD, Operation MAD, Operation Take the Mad People Off the Streets. Actually, I graduated from Adabugo University, Awka, and if you're familiar with the school environment, the city of Awka, one of the first things I noticed when I got my admission into school, I left home, I moved to school. When I moved from school to the market, from the market to the church, from the church to the campus, off campus, here and there, I just noticed that there are a large number of mad people on the streets of Awka compared to the other places I've lived. And I begin to ask myself questions why. Later I got answered, but that is not the subject for discussion today. So that drew my attention to the mad people on the streets of Awka. So I was just playing with the idea, with the thought of what can be done to clear these people off the streets of Awka and probably send them to a psychiatric hospital. I can remember later on in my maybe third year or during my final year, I can remember during my leaving the school, I can remember finally going to the psychiatric hospital in Nice, or is it Nanka? I think Nice, psychiatric hospital in Nice, and I met a medical psychiatrist, Dr. SD or be whatever, I can't remember his name right now, and I had this talk and discussion with him of how I'm interested, of my plans, of my intent to work together with the hospital, the professionals, psychiatric professionals. Let's kick off this program. Let's take mad people off the streets of Awka, send them to a psychiatric home where they will be attended to and taken care of. I was just playing with the idea. I didn't just play with the idea, I actually took a step. I went to the psychiatric hospital Nice by myself, and I consulted the chief medical consultant, one of the chief medical consultants, a psychiatric professional. I spent hours discussing with him. Fortunately or unfortunately, during the time of my visit, the medical professionals were on strike. If you can remember the great strike of what was the year between 2004-5, I think 2005-6, when Dr. Chris Ngige was the governor of Anambra State. For that short period of time, there was this strike. Medical doctors, all of them were on strike. So actually when I was there, they were on strike. I couldn't really do much, but it was just a one-time visit. This is just to tell you how seriously I was really playing with the idea. But before I even got to the point of playing with the idea, in my second year, having noticed that there are so many mad people in the streets of Awka, mad in quote, or mad in quotes, in the streets of Awka, as well as so many beggars, that drew my attention. Now, when I say Operation MAD, M-A-D, I called it Majorly Attention Deficient People. Yeah, I don't want to call them mad, because when we call them mad, we tend to dismiss them entirely. I just said majorly attention deficient people. And when you look at it psychologically, emotionally, critically, that is actually what is mad. Because all of us are mad, one way or the other, we display madness. But when our attention deficiency becomes major, we begin to remove our clothes, we begin to remove our hair, we begin to run the streets naked, we no longer care. All these things are attention seeking. Although they are not doing it intentionally, but at a subconscious level, at a psychological level, at a spiritual level, at an emotional level, any so-called mad person is majorly attention deficient. All you need is to give attention, give care, and the person gets recovered. So that is just about the program I was playing with. But then I just want to tell you the story of the day I actually gave food and clothes to a madman on the streets of Awka. You don't want to miss it. Come back. All right, welcome back. So in my second year, during the first departmental week, you know, that week of rag day, travel, wear rags, this and that, After rag day, the morning I realized from rag days, I thank my friend, senior friend that time, that actually advised me I can use it to visit motherless babies and all that. And that was actually when the beginning of me now visiting motherless babies homes, orphanages, while I was in school, because the process I got from that rag day, I actually used part of it to visit orphans in the orphanage homes. And later I started doing other things like doing random visits to hospitals, that Regina Chinley hospital at the junction, at Unizik junction. Before I left school, I must have visited like 2 or 3 times. And before I left school, I must have visited the orphanage 2 or 3 times. One orphanage is it Nice? I can't remember all the nook and crannies of Aka these days. I think that one should be Nice. The psychiatric hospital was in Nanka. The orphanage was in Nice or something like that. Forgive me if I'm mixing things up, but that is it. Before I left school, I visited that orphanage for like 2 or 3 times. And before I left school, I visited that Regina Chili for like 2 or 3 times as well. I'll just go there, whatever I have little in my hands as a student, for my little pocket money. In those days, a tin of milk can go for 30 naira, 35 naira. I may just use 500 naira and get so many. Maybe one bed, I'll give them 2 or 3 things, pray. In my shyness that time, I will still open my mouth and go. So these are just little tidbits of what I was doing in my days in the university. Not as if it's a full-time thing. I was actually fearfully and shyly doing them because I was just trying to come out of my shell in those days. So in that my second year, when I now gave food and clothes to a madman, I remember the days I used to tell myself, why is it that when you want to do something good, you're so afraid, so shy, whereas people can boldly stand, fight, tear their clothes, gossip, fight, say, things that ears won't want to hear, even vulgar things. They're not ashamed. But maybe if you want to give arms to a beggar, you're afraid, you're self-conscious, people are watching you, And I started telling myself, you have to come out of that. And thanks to the books I was reading that time, one of them, Unleash Your Potentials, which actually forced me back then to start coming out of my shell, even to the point of one day standing in front of my class to address my colleagues, my classmates, and all that. All of them all started back then in my second year, third year, when I started forcing myself to come out of my shell. So finally, to wrap it up, on that particular day, that fateful Sunday, I have watched this madman sitting in that big gully. There's a gully drainage system actually, the Unizik Oka Enugu Expressway, that big wide road with that big gully, that drainage there. I've been monitoring this man for days. He was always roaming about the streets of Oka. So that particular Sunday, he was actually there. I came back from church. I went to make sure that he's there, and I went back home. The food I have determined this is the D-Day. I've already washed one t-shirt I want to give him with one of my trousers I want to give out to him. Then I cooked food and packaged it in a takeaway pack, because I was also being conscious, what if he's an aggressive or violent man? I should better use something I can just drop and run away. So I packaged the food in a takeaway pack with plastic spoon, plastic takeaway pack, wrapped it. Then one t-shirt, one trouser like that, I ironed. After washing, packed it, I now took to the man. Imagine me sitting just close to a so-called madman. When he opened his teeth, see dirty blackness, he smiled at me, mad laugh. As my visitor came to see him, when he recognized me, I was asking him questions. What is your name? Where are you from? This and that. Why are you here? He was saying this, that, Chuku. He was just talking nonsense I couldn't even comprehend. But finally, by and large, that was my experience. I succeeded in dropping my food there with him, with the clothes I gave him. Now you have to hear the last part of the story. The last part of the story is that a few days later, within 1 week after that experience, I was now coming back from school. If you know Unizik very well, natural science students, that's computer science that I studied. Most of our studies are actually in the temp side. Those days, everybody have now moved to the permanent side, so we are still living in the temp side. I was living in off-campus hostel in the temp side. That time, we don't even have enough hostels in the school. Majority of students live off-campus. Okay, so some of our classes still, we go to the permanent site to take classes. So if you know, if you know Unizik very well, you know the bus station, you know the bus stand, the gas station, and all that. So one of the days of coming back from one of our lectures in the permanent site, We have now alighted in the school bus. Coming out of the bus stand, lo and behold, walking through the streets of Unizik, now Unizik Street, to go to my hostel, I saw the so-called madman walking out from one corner. Do you know what he was wearing? My own t-shirt and my own trouser. Oh my goodness, nobody knew what was happening. Within me, I was like, what is happening? A madman was wearing my shirt, my trouser. You know that he's a man, you know, his limbs are longer, of course, and of course he's taller than me. You know, his body build and mine are not the same. So the trouser that is normally my length now was like a jump up to him. You know, I could see his ankle level. I was so both happy, awed, and I don't even understand what I was doing. But I saw it. This man came out within that week wearing my shirt and my trouser. It's so funny, so funny. This is a story I don't always share. I think I've shared this story with just 2 or 3 friends, since that day. It's not a recorded thing, but I keep remembering it. Okay, so what is the essence of today's story? Is to tell you that there is nothing in this life that is undoable. You are your worst enemy. You're your worst discourager. You can be your own best friend. You can be your own worst enemy. Anything you set your heart at, anything you set your mind at, you can. And anything good, why don't you? Why don't you take a step? If people can do all sorts of things, people can boldly become armed robbers, boldly become criminals, boldly become con artists, boldly become murderers, prostitutes. Why will you be shy? Why will you be afraid? It's all about allowing the goodness in you to take preeminence over whatever discouragement you may be having. Allow the light in you to shine. Let us touch the lives around us and be the best we can be in making our world a better place in any little way we can afford. That's my story for today. It's a part of the story of my life because I believe that I'm sharing bits and pieces of me so that you get to know me. Remember, I want you to know me because you've not known me. With time, you know who your beloved Adabugo really is. Thank you very much for hanging in there for me as always. I love it anytime you stay tuned. Have you ever done such brave, bold acts? Have you ever done anything like that? Let me hear what you think. Have you ever done such